Welcome to Gimme 10 the podcast, where we ask some of the sharpest minds in branding, content, and advertising to give us 10 real insights to shape your career. If you're just starting out or trying to level up, this show is just built for you. This show is built to give you clarity, direction from people who've actually done the work. Today's guest is Ninad. He's the co-founder of Hello, a modern luxury gear brand. Ninad is one of those rare minds who knows how to think, teach, and build all at once. Today, he's here to help you do the same. In your early days, or let's just say,
when I was a junior.
Alright, we can just talk about that as well. But then I actually want to ask you from a perspective where, even if it's in your junior days or your senior days, you've had an instance where you've really thought that this is like my best work, and you've presented it in front of a client and the client has really shunned it off. What is that feeling like? Does it like really put you down? Does it also, or does it like really get you back in your 500% and you are be like, listen, why is it put me in a space where this client thinks that my best work according to me is actually not up to the mark? So has that happened to you ever? Like, have you felt that ever?
Yes, many times, especially since if you've worked for 23 years of your life, it has happened multiple times. What I learned over the years is not to get too emotional about it. This is a field where you've got to be prolific in nature, right? It's not about going deep. It's about, moving from one brand to another and compartmentalizing your thinking. And the more emotional you get about your ideas, the more it lingers on and it impacts the other brief that you're working on. And you've got to quickly move from brief to brief, right? So I learned over the years that, you should not really harbor any feelings of resentment. You do tend to feel bad. There are many instances. One that comes to my mind was, we were working on a brief for Axis Bank.
Okay.
Huge bank, huge brand. By the time it had already built into the number 3 bank in the country. They came to us with a brief saying we want to launch in rural India. This was the rural India launch of Axis Bank. Big brief. And I was already on that trip of cracking real ideas and not just advertising lines.
Of course.
So I thought, let me give it a shot. What could be a real idea with which Axis Bank launches in rural India and not just an ad campaign? And the client was, they spent a lot of money sending us to rural India, meeting farmers. So I did a lot of that. I went across the country, I met farmers. I went to fields, I went to their homes, I spoke to them. The farmer's income his life is very uncertain because he has to depend on, uncertainties, vagaries of the weather. He doesn't know during off season what is he going to do. And his children do not want to take up farming. So there was a lot of uncertainty. So uncertainty was one thing that I came back with. And I felt if uncertainty is a theme of rural India, then can Axis Bank do something to solve that problem? Axis Bank, such a huge, institution. So one of the places that I visited during that research trip was Guntur. And Guntur is known for its chilies. I went to so many of those chili, warehouses, and I saw the extent. But there is so much of issues there when there is no cold chain, and hence so many chilies get destroyed and so on and so forth. I said, why can't a chili sauce come out of Guntur and it can be sold to the world? And I said, you could do that in Guntur. You could do that with apple cider in Himachal. You could do that with something else all over the country.
Right.
I pitched the idea to Axis Bank saying, you launch a program called One Idea Per Village, and you tell the village that, look, we are here, a financial institution coming to your village, and if you have an idea, we will finance it. So I pitched that idea, and that guy was looking at me as I was pitching, and I was telling him this whole story of how this could, this must spread like wildfire all over rural India. And he was staring at me, and then ultimately he said, यार आइडिया तो अच्छा है बट ये हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते इसके बारे में ये तो मतलब बहुत कुछ करना पड़ेगा. And I think one of the biggest problems with marketing guys and heads of marketing today is that they want a campaign, they want quick fixes, right? They don't want to even consider something that's a huge investment of time, money, something that needs to be taken to the top management. He said, यार ये तो शिखा शर्मा लेवल पे बात करनी पड़ेगी. I said, हाँ तो करते हैं ना, क्या प्रॉब्लम है? He said, हाँ ठीक है, I will figure out something. And then nothing. Bust. I thought there was something there, and Axis Bank could have been at the forefront of leading that revolution, and they had the money, they had everything.
Boss.
Yeah. One of the reasons why I chose to not do advertising full time, I mean, even now I consult a little bit with few ad agencies, but I will never do any job in advertising ever again. Is primarily because of these things. I think it just kills you to see your ideas dying. So I think I want to run my own ship, and at least the failure is mine.
Right.
Here, you don't even know whether it would have failed or not. So.
How is that transition looking for you today? And what is that actually bought that change? What is the thought that actually got this thinking into your head where you thought that, okay, hello is my new thing, and I want to really, just give my 100% into this, and I want to build this.
कभी बिजनेस करने का सोचा ही नहीं था.
Right.
आई वॉज एट द टॉप ऑफ माई करियर, आई वॉज एट द पीक, आई वॉज डूइंग रियली वेल. सो इन एडवर्टाइजिंग आई थिंक इवन व्हेन आई वॉज एट द पीक आई वॉज सिक एंड टायर्ड ऑफ डूइंग द टिपिकल एडवर्टाइजिंग. जब लाइन बोलो, इनसाइड बोलो, मैं बोला यार रियल में धंधा ऐसे नहीं होता है, रियल में आइडियाज ऐसे नहीं चलते. सो ऑन एवरी ब्रीफ आई यूज्ड टू पुश माई सेल्फ, कैन आई थिंक ऑफ अ रियल आइडिया, right? Then let's think, how do we advertise that idea rather than thinking of an advertising idea. My first startup showed me the magic of entrepreneurship, and I realized that that is not, it's almost like you taste blood, you lose a lot of money to
course.
to pay for that blood, but I think once you taste blood you can't go back, right?
course.
And I was looking for something, and it just happened organically. My watch collecting journey, the fact that you don't get great watch straps in India, and I never even thought of doing a watch strap business. I just thought, let me go to Dharavi, pick up some leather, because Dharavi is the first name that comes to your mind when you think of leather. So I went to Dharavi, I picked up leather, I found a craftsman, we got some straps made, I showed it to a few collector friends, they liked it, they bought it, and I thought, wow, if someone is buying, putting money on the table, matlab kuch to hai.
Of course.
So I said, okay, let's do an Instagram page, but Instagram page के लिए नाम होना चाहिए. So we thought of a name called Hello, and then the Instagram page happened. Then we started putting content on Instagram. People started following. We started getting orders via DM, and that's how the journey began, man. And I mean, those were the early days, but that's how it began. And yeah, we are still going strong.
Just to get your POV on the new age market, people today are running behind performance, and everything today has become a performance marketing sort of a thing. What do you see as a difference from when you did it back in the day and from now?
The biggest difference is empowerment. I don't necessarily look down upon performance marketing, but the one difference is the fact that brand was always about performance. You should not look at performance as a steroid. If you're going to look at performance as a steroid, then the moment you stop steroids, your muscles are going to shrink. So I think it has to be the right mix. I don't want to give a diplomatic answer, but yes, it is the right mix. If you look at performance just as push, the best brands, the best businesses have been built out of pull, and just serving ad after ad to your consumers is not going to create that pull. So you still got to figure out what's the core essence of your brand. You've still got to figure out your positioning. You've still got to figure out the right messaging.
Right.
You've still got to figure out differentiation. You've still got to figure out relevance, and then use all those ingredients and put them in your performance marketing.
The shift that you think you've seen in today's time, where from going and speaking to brand custodians and their journey of being a brand custodian today and building Hello, what change and what shift do you think has actually come? And what do you think is actually the difference that you're making? And what actually got the thought of understanding that space where you knew that the watch strap market is actually an untapped market and it's got that potential to grow? What does that change? What shift did you think? What is that mode that you thought that this is going to be, this is it, this is my future, this is where I want to be?
So on a lighter note, I think frankly I've gone from being a brand custodian to a brand laborer.
Okay.
And brand custodian was a fancy word that we used to use, talking to clients.
Of course.
But the shift and the understanding of what really is working in this market happened because I chose to become a brand laborer.
Okay.
Right? Like really getting into the depth of it, right? Understanding really small nuances about the product, understanding what people want, right? And I am still part of the watch collecting, watch enthusiast community, and I know hundreds and hundreds of those people personally. So just that understanding helps us develop a great product in the first place.
Right.
A relevant product in the first place, a differentiated product in the first place. And that is what, set the foundation for us.
When you're interviewing people that you potentially see that could be a part of your team, what is that you see in them as the change maker or something that you see fit for them to be in your team?
So I'm giving you a very practical response to this. I do not look at portfolios when they are juniors. I look at perspective. So perspective is greater than portfolio at a fresher level. Somebody who's, let's say, 2-3 years in the market and who's come for a job, for that person, I think it's very important to showcase case studies where they have had a significant role to play, right? Because everybody can say, I was part of this project, I was part of that project, and that's not what we're looking. I want the portfolio to be about their part rather than the whole case study, because everybody is interested in what you are bringing to the table. The biggest mistake that most freshers make is that their mind is too preoccupied with the idea of learning. Professionals like an Mbappe or a Messi when he was at his peak, they do not get paid to learn.
Right.
They get paid to perform. So I think youngsters have to imprint this line in their minds that we are getting paid to perform. Learning is an outcome of it.
So this is Ninad. If this episode offered any insight or value to you, please do like, subscribe and share it.